Live from Orlando, Florida, you're listening to the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, the voice of Magic fans. Join us every week for a unique fan perspective on all of the latest Magic news and updates. The show starts now.
What's up, Magic fans? Welcome back to another episode of the Orlando Magic HQ podcast, brought to you by the Believe Podcast Network and Bet Online. We're your hosts, Al, myself, Anthony. Today is Friday, December 20th, and we're recording this one a little differently. Normally, we record these episodes Thursday night, releasing Friday morning, but yesterday I got to celebrate my birthday, so I was gracious enough to be able to make some adjustment to his schedule, and luckily we were both off on Friday, so we're recording this early Friday morning. Is about 9:30 as we're recording this, so we'll be dropping it shortly after. But Al, man, what's going on? Two game losing streak from our boys. We're going to talk a little bit about the games and some of the things that we've been hearing on the rumor mill. So not a long episode, but definitely a lot to go over. How are you feeling?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It feels weird recording in the morning instead of at night, but hey, I'm liking it. I feel more energized for this episode. But let me ask you, how does it feel waking up today a year older, man? I know that. What is it now? I know you're older than me, but I'm afraid to ask.
Oh man, it's a heavy 36. I played ball on Wednesday, and this is probably it's probably my longest stretch without playing basketball for a minute. I think it was probably like maybe 4 or 5 months, and I am in so much pain from head to toe. I don't know how these professional athletes do it. Obviously, they have a medical team. I do not, but it's rough. It's rough.
I can imagine, man. What we were talking about it before we started recording, and it's that first game when you play after not playing for a while, it's painful. You know, I'm 35 myself, so I know the feeling. But other than that, man, it's been good. It's been a rough week for us, unfortunately. 3-game losing streak for the Magic now. We'll talk all about it in this episode, but we knew this. We knew this when Paulo and Franz went down. We knew it was going to be ugly for a few weeks, and we're in the middle of that right now.
Yeah, for sure. But the good news is we get to record this podcast while I'm drinking my coffee, which never happens.
That's true. That's definitely different. And it's actually good, you know, with the cooler weather outside. It's a perfect timing for this.
Yeah, cool. All right, so before we jump into this episode, just a quick word from our sponsors, Bet Online. Bet Online continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. With the largest selection of odds on everything from football, the NBA, and college basketball, NHL to UFC, head to BetOnline today, and don't forget to use our promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, the game starts here. Also, a big shout out to our guy, Brandon Kravitz. Zone Heads, it's that time of the year, and Brandon Kravitz is partnering with the Hourglass Brewing in downtown Orlando for an epic holiday celebration. It's the re-release of Zone Heads 35 with that classic Magic pinstripe look. It's a delicious IPA that beer enthusiasts and Magic fans alike will absolutely love. Head to the Hourglass Brewing on Curry Ford today on Curry Ford Road, December 20th, for the official release and hang out with Brandon Kravitz and the crew starting at 6 p.m. So if you're in the area, got nothing going on, it's an awesome event to go to and allow for you to be able to chop it up with them and try their beer. Also, all new episodes of the Zone Heads podcast with Brandon and his new co-host Zach are available wherever you download your favorite podcasts, and catch BK live on In the Zone weekdays on 96.9 The Game starting at 3:30 p.m. So Al, tough loss against the New York Knicks, 100-91. Then you got the loss against the Thunder, 106-99. Just kind of touching base on that OKC game. This is a game that, was nationally televised. And the Magic started off looking like they were coming out swinging, right? Unfortunately, the second quarter hurt us a bit. You clearly saw Jalen Suggs struggling with his ankle, and he was gimping around, and it's hard for a team like the Orlando Magic that rely so much on Franz, rely so much on Paolo, And credit to Coach Mose and the staff, credit to Jalen Suggs and the guys, because they didn't allow any of that to kind of hinder them in any way. We heard reports of Jonathan Isaac immediately after Franz going down, taking that veteranship approach and doing a player only meeting and getting the team together and to rally. And they've battled their way through, but it's getting to a point where we're really hoping Paulo Banchero is right around the corner and returning. And some of the reports that we're getting from Jason Bede from the Orlando Sentinel is we need to pump the brakes a little bit, because we're not just there yet. Paulo isn't at a place where he's doing any contact work yet. So Al, talk to me about these games. How are you feeling? What are some things that kind of stood out to you? Are there any concerns, or are we just kind of making sure that we ride this ship without it fully sinking all the way?
Well, first things first, I think we got to be blessed, man, that when Paulo went down, Franz was able to carry us and give us a cushion. We've been talking about it for 2 weeks now.
Yep.
That cushion that he gave us, man, and the team gave us, it's what's allowing us today to be 17-12, because we knew it was going to be ugly. We knew that once Paulo went down, things were going to be bad. Franz shocked the world. We won a whole bunch of games in that process. Now he goes down. And again, the stretch we're in right now, in my mind at least, even though they're home games, it's probably the most difficult stretch that we have in the schedule. We got Miami twice coming up, the Knicks twice, OKC, Boston, and then we finally have Brooklyn coming in at the end of the year. So it's tough games. And you add to that the fact that, again, Paulo's not playing, Franz not playing, and we've seen now 2 games in a row where Suggs just looked not 100%. And ultimately, he ended up leaving early the game against OKC. So we don't know yet the extent of that injury. I can say I was at the game last night, and he did not want to come out. Like, he was limping badly, and he had into a little bit of a altercation with Coach Mosley as he was being taken out because he did not want to come out. But I think Mosley made the right move. He did not look right at all. He was trying his best, but at this point, you got, again, your 2 stars out. You cannot risk also Jalen Suggs going out for a week, 3 weeks, a month. So he made the right decision. I just hope it's not a bad injury. We cannot afford it right now. But outside of the injuries, outside of the fact that we have a nice little cushion, these games are going to be rough. Unfortunately, it's a nice homestand, but it's rough. Magic fans are showing up. They're there filling up the Kia Center. But ultimately, the basketball, they're playing hard, but the results are not there at this moment. The only good news we got yesterday was, and I'm not sure how accurate this is, but on TNT, they reported that both Paulo and Franz are going to be reevaluated on Saturday, which I'm like, wait. Paulo, I understand, but why is Franz being reevaluated so quickly? So I don't know what that means. We don't know what that means just yet. I'm sure we'll get more updates after Saturday. But if that is the case, I still think that Paulo may not be back until closer to the new year, if not the new year. So again, this homestand, we have 5 more games to go, 4 more games to go. If we win 1 to 2 games, I'll be happy. That's the way that I'm approaching it. Again, tough teams, but as long as we maintain our spots in the playoff, top 6, by the time the Paulo is back, I think that's a win for us. What about you? What were your thoughts on this past 2 games and on these injuries that keep coming in and affecting our performance on the court?
Yeah, I mean, like you want that out of your player in Jalen Suggs, right? Like you want him to fight through it, even when he, I guess the first instance where that ankle was really bothering him, and they took him out, but he didn't go to the locker room. He stayed on the bench, and ended up coming back in. Jalen Suggs only played 17 minutes, and in those 17 minutes, 9 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. Like, this is somebody that we had to rely on so heavily. Without Franz, without Paulo Banchero, that it's unfortunately it's one of those things where it puts a toll on Jalen Suggs, especially as the primary ball handler. The bright spot is Anthony Black had an awesome game, 23 points, 3 assists, and 31 minutes of play. Like, we need guys to be able to step up, but you just hope that you're able to bring at some point. Like, you look at the OKC team, and one could compare the Magic with the OKC team. Now, obviously, different levels, because OKC, they really have a good shot at, number 1 in the West. They have a good shot at, making it to the finals. You can look at their team and say, they could make it, and you're not surprised. And they're a young team that we're kind of rebuilding. They rebuilt with SGA, so it was a little different, right? Because we had to kind of wait for our guy. But you look at them, and if they don't have SGA, if they don't have Williams, if they don't have these guys, right? Because Chet also wasn't playing. But if they don't have their top 3 players, they're not going to be successful, man. They're going to hurt. They're going to struggle. And the Magic, unfortunately, we're in a spot where if you don't have our top 3 guys at 100%, we're going to struggle. And the fact that the Magic have been able to keep this ship afloat, is a testament to, our depth and also our coaching staff. So I don't know, man. You hope that Jalen Suggs' injury isn't too bad, but you also hope that we're not pushing him to where it hurts him later on. Because ideally, you want to get to a point where you do get Franz back healthy, you do get Paulo back healthy, and then Jalen Suggs, you hope that he comes back healthy. So even if he's not, like, I hope that either we bring down his minutes a little bit once our guys start returning back, or he does get some time to fully recover, because the end game is not to be the second seed. Like, our end game needs to be get to the playoffs and make it past the first round. We definitely would love to get home court advantage, because we know how much that does make a difference. An example of that is last season against the Cavs. But at this point, man, we need to kind of pick and choose our battles, and making sure that at the end of the year we can go into the postseason the same way we walked into the season. That's with a healthy roster.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen what we can do when we're healthy, right? So the hope is that we're dealing with these injuries now. Come February, come March, we're fully healthy, and now you build that cushion once again. You fight your way up to the standings and hopefully get home court advantage, but you got to be healthy for that to happen. I will say, though, looking back at the scoreboards for the last few games, Tristan da Silva, not shooting it quite well, but he is looking good out there, man. So against the Thunder, 15 points, 3 rebounds, 3 for 8 from 3-point range. Then you look at the Knicks game, he ended up with 20 points, shot the ball really well overall in that game. So that's been a bright side, in my opinion, the fact that we've seen this rookie come in. And I mean, I liked him. This. We talked about it back in the offseason. I liked him coming into the draft. He seemed ready. Again, some shades of Franz Wagner in his game a little bit. We've seen it now where he's not afraid, man. He has that same kind of Franz instinct where it's like, hey, I'm open, I'm going to shoot it. I have a path to the basket. I'm going to go to the basket. So that's been great to see. Outside of him, Goga is the other guy that I'm really impressed with, man. This guy, again, doesn't do too much, doesn't try too hard, but just puts up numbers. So that Knicks game, 8 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks. You look at the Thunder game, again, 15 points, 10 rebounds, 1 block. Just solid, man. Solid all around. And mind you, that game against the Thunder, I was a little concerned because the Thunder have a really good team. Isaiah Hartenstein is another great center, and he was able to compete with this guy. So think about it from that perspective. Our third string center, who we're paying peanuts compared to Hartenstein, who we all wanted in the offseason, was able to go up there and put up a good fight against him. So that was great to see. Those are 2 guys that stand out to me. Is there anybody on your end that stands out to you, even though we're losing, even though things are not going well right now, that has been playing good basketball, and you're like, hey, man, like, that's a solid, that's good to see that even though we're not playing well, we're not winning, these guys are stepping up, and when we are healthy, they should be able to help us.
Yeah, I mean, you point at Tristan da Silva, and this is the positive light, the double-edged sword that you get when you have your main guys out, is that Tristan da Silva, early on, we've had this debate over in the offseason where, is he going to play more than AB? Is he going to play more than, Jet Howard? Should Jet Howard play more than Tristan da Silva? You see them on the court, and you see Tristan da Silva out there, and yeah, he still makes some rookie mistakes, but there's moments where you're like, man, this dude is an added value where we can really use his strengths now. We don't have to wait for it, a year, 2 years, 3 years. He's not a project, right? So I think that's so huge, because once we do get a healthy roster and Tristan, ends up kind of going back into that second unit, now you're getting a starter type player, because he now has that experience in that second unit. And that's going to bolster up so much. Like you look at what Goga, right, has been able to do, and Coach Mose he's going to have some decisions to make, right? We haven't been getting the Wendell that we've been hoping for, or the Wendell Carter that we said, man, we got the best contract in the NBA. Like that, changing his contract changed our perspective on Wendell, and we're not getting what we believe we would be getting, right? So if Coach Mose, which I believe he will do this, right? If Coach Mose goes back to the original starting lineup, Goga has done enough to where he's proven he needs to be on the floor. Like he needs to be part of our main core. So now you're looking at a second unit that's so much stronger. Anthony Black, way more experience and way more polished than he was last year. Tristan da Silva getting enough run under his belt and experience. And then Goga playing the way that he's been playing. Obviously you have Mo Wagner. You look at our second unit from last year and say, we had one of the best second units in the NBA. Now, with this experience that the second unit is getting, you're kind of hoping that will continue to run, and we'll reap the benefits from it. So, yeah, you can point at Tristan da Silva, Anthony Black as guys, Goga Batadze, also guys that really stepped up during this stretch, and it's good to see. But you want to be able to get to a point this season where you get your healthy team back, because the Magic are at its best with all their players.
Yeah, man. And so on the opposite end of that conversation is who isn't stepping up, who isn't giving us enough. And I think I look at the box score, one glaring player to me that stands out is Jet Howard. Unfortunately, he got 9 minutes against the Thunder. Against the Knicks, he ended up getting only 5 minutes, made a couple of rookie mistakes, and got taken out right away. No points for him in both of those games. And you would think in a time like now that you have Franz out, you need somebody to come in and give you some easy baskets. He unfortunately is not stepping up and being that guy, which is unfortunate. Cole Anthony, another guy that we've talked about at length in this podcast in the last few weeks, had a couple nice games a few weeks back, got us believing that he was back and he was going to find his rhythm. Unfortunately, not quite there. And to your point, lastly, Wendell Carter. He had a good game against OKC, but overall, I don't know what else to think about Wendell Carter, man. I know we talked about it in our group chat, and Steven is always defending him, which I respect him for that. But just if you're watching the games, I don't care about stats. I don't care about plus and minuses. Just give me what I'm seeing as a fan, right? He looks disengaged, man. He's giving me Mo Bamba vibes. Like he's out there, he's a body. He's running up another court. You give him the ball, he's looking to pass it right away. Like he's not being aggressive. A couple of times yesterday against OKC, he got the ball. He was like aggressive. I'm going to go to the basket. I'm going to dunk it. I'm going to go finish strong. That's the Wendell that we saw the first 3 years in Orlando. The last couple of years, so last year and this year, I don't recognize him, man. Like in the playoffs, he was non-existent. You see him this season. He's not aggressive. I never expect any more 10 points out of him, which is not much to ask of your starting center, right? Like that shouldn't be a big ask. So when it comes to players letting us down, guys that you would think would step up and give us something when we need him most, who comes up? I have another guy that I won't mention just yet, but Wendell and Cole Anthony are those guys for me. Who is it for you that you're like, hey, what's going on with you? Why can't you give us a little more now that we need you?
It's Cole Anthony and Wendell Carter. Like you point at those two, and they're the most disappointing players on the roster this season. You can look at Wendell and kind of blame it on the injury he was dealing with, the left foot plantar injury that he had. So, obviously with Wendell, it's always been an injury. There's always something that kind of, prevents him from being on the floor. And then you have a player like Goga who's hungry, man. He's trying to make the roster. He's trying to show that he's an NBA caliber player, right? And he comes in, he performs from a mental standpoint. I don't care who you are, that's going to affect you, right? So, I can kind of see, like, we don't know the whole story, right? We don't know if Wendell is fighting through these injuries. We don't know if he's still feeling that way. And then with Cole Anthony, I honestly feel bad for him. Like I really do, because he is not dealing with injuries. And he's in his head. He's just not playing good basketball, and he knows that he's not playing good basketball. And I think that that's the positive thing that you can take from it. Because when you're not playing well, it's easy for a lot of these players to point at, it's the coach, it's it's this player, it's whatever. And, he's not blaming anyone. He blames himself. He's come out publicly and said that he's played like dog crap. Like, he knows that he has not played good basketball. And we've seen moments where Cole Anthony is still Cole Anthony, but it just hasn't been consistent. And in the beginning of the season, you can start off by saying, "Oh, he's just in a slump," but we're knee deep into the season, and that performance is still not where we're used to seeing. And it comes to a point where if you're not helping us, you're hurting us. And I don't know, man, because Cole Anthony. The one thing that we loved about Cole Anthony is that we've always said that he was the heart and hustle of this team. But that title got stripped away by Jalen Suggs too. So what is it that Cole Anthony is doing for us? Sure, he's a great locker room guy. Sure, he's a positive energy for us. But that can't be it. If you're in a shooting slump, you're not playing well, you're getting DMPs, and now we start facing injuries, and now you have an opportunity to, now we're playing you more minutes than what you were getting in the beginning of the season. This is the time that you're supposed to come out and say, man, I'm Cole Anthony. Like, I'm a starter in the NBA, and y'all got me on the bench. Like, this used to be our sixth man. Now we're not getting that at all, and it comes to a point where the Magic, we're not. This isn't a charity, right? We're at a point where we need to make decisions. We've been talking about this over-looming consolidation for years now, right? And now with the trade rumor mill kind of picking up, we're starting to see Cole Anthony's name, come up more and more and more. So the real question is, Cole Anthony, are you ready to pull that trigger, or are we giving him the benefit of the doubt? Like, are you proactively looking at Cole Anthony as a person to move, or is it more of, if something comes right and he's just somebody that we have to use in trade, then that's just what it is?
I think at this point, you got to consider it. You would have asked me this in the offseason, I would have said no, because he's a key component to what we're doing here in Orlando. He's been here since day one. The rebuilding started with him, truly. It would be hard to give up that piece and say, you know what, Cole, thank you for everything. We're moving on. But unfortunately, man, to your point, like, he is not contributing. He's having one good game every 10 games, and that's not good enough in the NBA. That's not good enough when we need you to come in and score. He's a scoring guard in this league. That's what his role is. And when we need you to score 15, 20 points for us, because again, we don't have scorers right now, and you're dropping 4 points, you're dropping 2 points, and the biggest thing to me is going to be the mistakes he's making. So there was a stretch yesterday against OKC that he came into the game. We were up by 3 or 4 late in the first quarter. He came into the game, literally just checked in, turnover, they hit a 3, turnover, they got a dunk and an N1, I believe. It was a 7 or 6 point swing in a matter of seconds, all created because he just checked into the game, like his mistakes. And you could just tell Coach Mosley shaking his head, like he is upset in that moment. So that keeps happening in every single game he plays. If you watch the games closely, that happens every single game for like a 30-second to a minute span where he just it's out of control. The way I can best describe it is he's going 1,000, not 100, 1,000 miles per hour at times. And he cannot slow down. When he settles in and takes an open 3, he sees a path to the basket and finishes strong. He's a great player. He's doing good things. But when he tries to get creative and cross over, step back, and he loses it, that's when he gets into trouble. So I hope he finds it. Man, we keep saying this every week. I hope he finds it. But to your point, if not, and comes February, you're saying, all right, this is what we need to fix this team to get deeper into the playoffs this year. And he's a piece that makes a salary work. You have to consider it. Just like guys like Gary Harris, just like guys like Wendell in the offseason. We've seen enough already to say, okay, they're good players, but in our roster, the way we're built currently, and where we're going, they may not be the best fit, unfortunately, going forward. So how do we adapt? Those are names that, in my mind, you have to keep in mind. And we saw an article from ESPN this week kind of saying, what are the names you expect to be out there in the trade market? They also highlighted Gary Harris as a vet that a competing team may be intrigued by, expiring contract. But then again, man, us as Magic fans, we see him. He cannot stay healthy. He's not a volume shooter, even though we want him to be. What team is going to want him? So I don't know how much truth there is to these rumors. But if a trade comes up and you can trade Gary Harris, Cole Anthony, those are two names that in my mind, you got to really consider.
Yeah, I mean, he finished the game with 4 turnovers. He was a negative 21. This is just off of 13 minutes of play, man. So he's definitely been struggling. Definitely struggled against the OKC. And Shaquille O'Neal, man, he even pointed to Cole Anthony as, his nephew, and his nephew needs to play better. It is what it is. Cole Anthony is one of the smallest players on the team, and you can't be a liability. You can't be the smallest player on the team and be a liability, knowing that the Magic's identity, the Magic's strength, is having versatile players that both is able to defend and, I mean, we want them to play a little more offense, but able to play both sides of the floor. And there's length, and we don't get that from Cole Anthony, right? Not even the athleticism that we've known to love from Cole Anthony. We're getting, and Cole Anthony, he does so many good things, man. Like, he's easily one of our best rebounders on the team, and at the very least, if we can't get your offensive production, then we need to find ways to be able to have you on the floor where you're not hurting the team. And unfortunately, man, we just haven't been getting that. And it's unfortunate. It's disappointing because he's somebody that you rely on, and when you rely on certain individuals and they don't pull through for you, it changes your outlook, because that individual is no longer a person that you can count on. And I hate that for Cole Anthony, because we all love Cole Anthony. He's such a positive person, both on the floor and off the floor. And you hope that there's a way around it. So that's why I am praying and hoping that Anthony Black never cuts his hair. You make sure that we don't touch that, because it is just one of those things where the minute that whatever player cuts their hair, it's a wrap. You're looking at Alfred Payne, you're looking at Markelle Fultz, you're looking at Cole Anthony. Now, whoever it is, do not allow AB to cut his hair, because AB is the future, and apparently when you have a lot of hair and you cut it, it messes you up. So don't touch that hair, AB.
Dude, now that you say that, it's true. Cole Anthony has not been the same since that bet with Mo Bamba that he lost and cut his hair. Like, he has not been the same player ever since then.
Mo Bamba is another one. Like, it's not like he was the best player ever, but when he had all the hair, there was a lot of potential. He cut it, and then it was get him out. So, yeah, I mean, jokingly, but also there's a tone of seriousness.
Yeah. So one more guy I want to ask you is, so talking about guys that have let us down a little bit this season, what are your thoughts on J.I., man? J.I., to me, all season long has seemed a step slow defensively, which it's unusual. We're not used to that. And number two, yeah, he's blocking shots. Let's give him credit. That he's doing, it's a highlight block per game, pretty much, that he gives us. But outside of that, what's happening to his lateral defense? What's happening to his offense? Like, yesterday, he tried to go to the basket a couple times, and it was like he was doing it in slow motion. Like, he couldn't go anywhere. His three-point shot has not been what it was last year. He's only shooting at this moment, got the stat right here, 29%, 44% field goal. Again, for a big guy, 44% is not good. So what are your thoughts on J.I.? Are you concerned? I know he's been hurt a little bit here and there throughout the season. Any concerns there? The same way that we're talking about Cole, J. Howard. Do you wish we could be getting more from J.I. in a time like this, that we need him to step up and give us more?
Yeah, 100%. Jonathan Isaac was a player that we've been waiting for so long. Even when we kind of think back of when we had Vooch and Fran, he was a player that we needed him to be healthy, because we felt like he was a missing piece to be able to take us forward. I kind of go back into the bubble and him facing off against Giannis, and he is somebody that we thought can guard the Giannis's and the KDs. I'm not saying that he can't guard them, but I don't know, man. I feel like because yesterday while we were watching, I was like, man, what happened to first defense, all NBA first defense Jonathan Isaac? Like, I feel like we haven't gotten there. Not saying that he hasn't played decent defense, but we were putting him a lot higher, like Anthony Davis type level, and I don't feel like we've been getting that, or at least not on a consistent basis. Like, I thought that we were going to be able to get more production from him with Paolo Banchero out, and we haven't. It's like he kind of stayed just in that same level of role. His shot has never been consistent. You know, Jonathan Isaac is supposed to be our X factor, and I don't know, he hasn't been that for us now either. And I get that, and this is the hard part, right? Our team is not our team without Franz and Paolo. So the minute that those guys come back, everyone can get back to playing their role. Jalen Suggs can get back to playing his role. Jonathan Isaac can go back to playing his role. You know, Gary Harris is a person that, you know, he isn't ever as consistent as we want him to be, but even he serves a purpose in his role. So the Magic need to get back to facing their normality, and right now they don't have that. We're being held on together by, you know, glue and tape, and it's not enough.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think defensively, you know, you cannot take any credit from him on the defensive end. I think he'll bring it every single night. He tries his best. I just feel like, to your point, like he's giving us highlight blocks, but we're used to him also shutting down those guys when it came to, like, you know, driving to the basket, shooting open shots. I feel like right now we're seeing little guys get by him all the time and shooting mid-range over him like nothing. It's a bit different. We know he added weight in the offseason, so I've been wondering the whole season so far.
Maybe.
Like, wait, is it that's impacting him? And if it is, can we get him on a diet? Because it didn't work. I appreciate the effort, but it didn't work. But yeah, man, again, we knew it's going to be ugly. All I'll say to Magic fans is we knew this was coming. This tough stretch, we knew it was going to be a rough end to 2024, unfortunately, because 2024 was a good year for us. But a lot of positives to look forward to in 2025. So whenever we get Paolo back, Franz back, the good thing is their legs are going to be fresh. They were playing their best basketball in their career, both of them. So a lot to look forward to into the new year. But in the meantime, man, we just got to hang in there. I just hope that we can pull a few more wins before the end of the year, because we need it. We need to stay afloat in the Eastern Conference. It's a tough conference. You got Milwaukee playing better. You got the Heat playing better. The Knicks are playing better. So now we're seeing those teams that we saw struggle early in the year kind of turn it around, and we are the ones that are kind of struggling a little bit right now. So it's going to happen. It's a long journey. It's 82 games. We'll be fine. So those that are ready to, like, give it up and saying, let's blow it up in the trade deadline and we suck again, that's not the case. We know what's happening right now. It's the injuries. We'll be fine.
Yeah, and honestly, it may feel this way because obviously the Magic are winning right now. We're missing our guys. Jalen Suggs going out. Jonathan Isaac is still an amazing defensive player, right? I believe I was looking at the stat the other day, and he was number one in the NBA in with the defensive rating. So Jonathan Isaac is still performing. It's just the eye test when we're down. You just expect so much more. Like yesterday during the broadcast, right? They were talking about how OKC and the Orlando Magic, two of the top defensive NBA teams, but OKC is the one that really showed it tonight, right? And you just hate to be able to show, like, we've been fighting so hard to get these nationally televised games. And granted, yesterday we didn't get smacked around. Like, we were still competing. It's not like we lost by 25, 30 points. But for whatever reason, the NBA likes putting us on national TV against OKC. And we haven't really been able to, except maybe one time, really play against them at our full strength. And you just hate being able to put your team on national television and, you know, not perform well. It's never a good look.
Yeah, man, it's been rough. I mean, we play against the Knicks, the Bucks, and now OKC on national TV while being short man. Because again, we haven't had Paolo for one, then Paolo and Franz for the other one, and again yesterday without the two of them plus Jalen Suggs for half of that game. So has not been the best on national TV. I'm glad we have a little break here from national TV games because it hasn't been a good showing for us, unfortunately.
Put us back on TV when we're healthy. All right, so Magic got Miami on Saturday, Monday against Boston, then Thursday again against Miami. It's going to be a pretty tough. It's going to be a tough stretch, man. So not rushing anyone back. Hopefully And we know that this is the way that the Magic operate, that they won't force anyone back any quickly. They won't jeopardize the end mission for the right now, right? But you do hope that this team can get some level of support sometime soon.
Yeah, man. What are your predictions for this week? I know it's a rough week. Miami, Boston, Miami. Not knowing, right? Jalen Suggs' status, not knowing Paolo, which I don't think he'll be back before these 3 games.
Yeah.
What are your predictions for it?
Yeah, buckle up, put your seatbelt on. I'm not expecting for us to especially because we don't know what's going on with Jalen Suggs. If Jalen Suggs plays and he's fine through the injury, that concerns me. If he doesn't play, then obviously the Magic really got their work cut out for them. So I'm not expecting much out of Miami, the game against Miami, Boston, and Miami. Because I'm a homer, I'm gonna go 1-3. Maybe the Magic kind of, take 1 out of the 3, but it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough, and you hope that the Magic makes some magic happen.
Yeah, same thing here. I'm hoping that at least one game we steal here. Ideally, one of the Miami games. Boston's gonna be really tough. So I say we go 1-2 this week. Again, just stay afloat. Stay in the top 6 in the East as much as you can. Again, the schedule lightens up a little bit towards the end of the year with Brooklyn. I think Detroit, Utah, I believe after that too. So it gets a bit easier in the new year. By then, hopefully we'll have Paolo back. Jalen Suggs fully healthy again. So we just got to ride the wave, man. It's unfortunate that it's happening during the holidays. It's unfortunate that it's happening during this nice home stretch that we have right now. But hey, it's going to get better for us at some point.
Yeah, we're in a ship that has a bunch of holes. Water's coming in. We just got to keep taking that water out. Keep that boat afloat until we get some lifesavers coming out. All right, so on that note, as a wrap, appreciate everyone for listening. Show is presented by Bet Online, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
For all the latest Magic news and updates, visit OrlandoMagicHQ.com and follow us on Instagram at OrlandoMagicHQ and on Twitter at OMagicHQ. Also, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel and subscribe and leave a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform.